Hey, Uni.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi, folks.
Hello.
At least I have this meeting to remind me it's Sundays.
I feel attacked.
What's up, everyone?
Hello. Sorry, moving. My Wi-Fi shut off.
Happy Easter, everybody, and we got the Pope.
We got him, boys. Mission accomplished.
Where do we get our aircraft carrier and
So cool.
giant flag? We just need to get the banner.
Just put an aircraft carrier right in the middle of St. Peter's Square and fly in.
Yeah. Sounds very American, and I love it.
Yeah, has the Pope joined our Slack yet? Or are we still waiting on that?
He wants a custom emote.
He's going to be the YTRO for the Vatican City.
Yeah.
Yeah, easy.
Need a Pope hat with math on it.
All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our evening meeting since it is Easter and people have family things that are going on today. I am sorry that
I
I
have made all of the board that I can find admin or co-host.
Beautiful. All right.
Can you guys see the waiting room when people pop into it?
Yeah, I've been admitting people in.
Okay, cool. Because I have to make a phone call real quick, but I'll be back.
Yeah, I can keep an eye on it.
Can people see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we hopefully should have less of an issue since this is the first time we're using this link.
Can you do a favor?
Oh, we need like a.
Hey, I want another slice, sucker. Do you want another slice, I asked? No. Okay, and I'm gonna get you cookies soon, right? Hello, everyone. All I hear is paper shuffling.
Seems like we're having some technical difficulties.
Bear with us.
Yeah, I tried to give out the wrong link from the calendar, and I had to go back and tell everybody I gave out the wrong link, so.
Ah, shoot. It's for security reasons.
Yeah. I didn't have to enter a new password or anything on this one though.
As long as you're given the link that has the password with it, then you don't need to enter a password.
Interesting.
But you're still in the waiting room.
I never came into waiting room unless Yini just added me right away.
Should be. Yeah, let's get those cookies out to everyone.
I mean, I think technically does Zoom use cookies to track your login? So in a way, we all are getting cookies.
Ah, wow.
Holly, did I get that right? You made DoubleTree recipe cookies today? Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Those are so good.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Happy Easter. I'm Robert.
Brendan or someone else, could one of the other board members step in and get started on it?
So I would, but I don't think I'd be able to show the agenda through. I'm just using my phone right now.
Brenna just came back.
Hey, Robert. Happy Easter.
Hey, is one of you able to run the meeting because my computer is now broken? And
I'm over at my phone
I can-
for Easter, so I
I
just
can-
don't have access to the presentation.
if you get,
I
if
can
somebody
do it. I just need a link.
Brenna, I'll screen share for you. It's
Thank you.
Andrew.
Thanks, everybody. Sorry for the incredible technical difficulties. I don't know what happened to my computer.
Perfect timing.
Somebody from the board share the slides in the chat so everybody can open them up, please. All right, so 10 minutes late. Let's get this party going. Andrew, if you could switch slides for me, please. So the review of how our agenda is going to go. We're going to go over the format of the meeting. It shifted a little bit. Our goal is about 45. So we'll be running a pretty quick thing. We'll do an overview of what this team and program really is doing for anybody that's new. We'll hear reports from all of our working groups as well as the interim leadership board, and then we'll have time for open discussion and conversation. Do you want to flip, Andrew?
Yes.
Thank you. So the format, our goal is to start right 1 minute after the time of the calls to respect everybody's time. Recordings will be posted after the calls as well. If you are tuning in a little bit late so you can catch up to what happened earlier. And then each working group is going to have 3 to 5 minutes to present. We love it if it's closer to 3 minutes. 5 minutes is totally cool if you need it. At 4, you'll be given a warning. During these presentations, we're not going to take any questions. There's time for questions at the very end of this. So if you have something you need, just drop it down so that you'll be able to, or write it down so you'll be able to remember it when you get to the end. And then for the sake of time at the end, comments will be limited to 45 seconds. After 45 seconds, you'll be given an indicator of time, and then you'll be given 15 more seconds to wrap up your through. Alrighty, so for anybody that is new and you're wondering what this group is and how you can get involved, we are a network that evolved from the Yang 2020 regional organizers and other volunteer leaders across the 50 states and abroad. We're now working with Humanity Forward headquarters to make sure that we are growing and building on the Yang campaign. And then our goal is also to grow our city, state, regional Yang gangs and help them work together with common goal and common infrastructure. So we're going to be looking to really grow and build on the Yang gang so that we can be sustainable to drive through 2024 and beyond, and other initiatives as well you'll learn about a little bit today. So we'd love to hear from you and we'd love your help. The way to get involved right now is by joining our working group. Those are going to be in Slack, and then every Sunday we host a call where you'll get an update from the working groups and kind of hear where we are. But in general, the Yang 2020 Slack is the best place to get started, to get in communication. And if you have more questions, there's a link to a Medium article that I believe Lee Kai wrote. Andrew, do you want to swap to the next one? Sweet, mission and vision. Who is speaking for that?
Hey, this is Ian Ratner. I'll speak for that. So we voted on our vision, and you can see our vision in front of you. As with all things that involve lots of people, there's various opinions of it, but we're excited about it. We'll review it down the road, but we're moving on to mission. We did present it to Erica McLeod from Humanity Forward, and also she shared off the record the vision statements and the mission statements that Humanity Forward are working on, and they're pretty closely aligned with what we came up with. So there's not going to be any surprises there. We are sworn to secrecy, so we're not going to be able to share that with the rest of you. Still a work in progress. And we have moved on to start working on our mission. We actually are going to have a poll for all of you to get some particular input that we need to make that all happen. So we're meeting Saturday. If you want to participate in mission development, join us Saturday. Thanks.
Thank you, Ian. After mission and vision, we're going to go to regional organizing. Who is speaking for them?
Catherine. Hi. So just two quick updates. We are updating the Yang Near Me map. So just getting who the active Yang gangs and contacts are. And then we're still collecting responses on the region survey. And we're inviting local and state Yang gangs to propose maps for the regions that they would like to belong to, the states around them and such. So join us in the working group regional organizing channel for this conversation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Catherine. And working group 10X is going to be next. Is that Alana?
Yeah, I'll be talking about that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
So Growing 10X was a response to Zach Grumman and you know, coming and speaking to us and saying that we want you to grow Yang Gang 10X. And so we revisited the email that he wrote to us and realized that the time limits, that all the deadlines had been passed and nothing had been accomplished. So we decided to look at why is that happening. So we decided that the premise of growing Yang Gang when there's no campaign is not realistic. So we're going to be shifting to how can we grow humanity forward for now so we can create an active and informed citizenry that is going to be more likely to support the 2024 campaign in the future if and when it happens. And if it doesn't, then we still have an active humanity forward group going forward. So what we want to do is we want to identify active leaders that are across all of the platforms, social platforms and organizations that we've partnered with. Find and recruit people who want to organize and run humanity forward chapters. And those chapters would exist in, you know, every state, city, county, wherever it can, so that we can act locally to enact the mission and vision of humanity forward in our own as well. They're going to be compatible. And I just lost my slide.
Sorry, I had a misclick.
Okay. So the chapters, when we talked to Erica about this, and yeah, they're all on board with that. I wanted to make sure that Humanity Forward wasn't actually working on doing this themselves. And they're like, no, well, the Humanity Forward will come up with the guidelines and like the rules and the laws, the policies for how do you establish a chapter. But then we're going to provide training and resources and give support, provide a place where leaders can come together and help each other. So we want to identify and work with other work groups in the Yang 2020 Slack who can help us fill those needs and that role and those roles when the time comes. And there's one more slide after this because it didn't all fit on one slide. So next slide. There it was. Okay. So the local chapters would reactivate Yang Gang members who are now, you know, sitting and waiting for something to do, and it will be in local communities so that we can support the candidates that are running on Humanity Forward policies and partner with our local organizations and implement policies and projects that we have in common. So, and as the chapters grow, there was a number, like maybe up to 100, 150 people in each chapter and then split so that they can be more effective. And then affinity groups and caucuses would form so that we could enhance our outreach and diversity and include other people. So there can be affinity groups for environmental issues, for racial issues, whatever it is that's specific to the area where that chapter is formed. So that's where we are at this point. And it was a meeting that ended on time and we got a lot done in 1 hour. So you can join us. Oh, there was some confusion about the time. We meet on Thursdays and it's 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. So I'm going to make sure that that gets fixed on the Google Calendar. But we would love to have more people to help us get this job done. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alana. So next is going to be working group diversity, inclusion, and outreach. Brian, I just want to say I see your hand. We're going to take questions at the very end.
Hi, everyone. So just 3 things for this update. Currently, the entire Slack workspace and just the Slack workspace is invited to take the diversity and inclusion survey templates by the end of the day on 4/16. That's currently posted in the operations channel. I linked it in this slide, but it's also still very visible. If you just like navigate to the channel, you'll be able to see it. I hope that anyone who wants to provide feedback, questions, or comments will provide them, because it will help prepare us to distribute this to the larger volunteer and Yang base. The second thing is we went over an HR brainstorm that was born out of the materials that the Arizona Yang Gang provided us with. We're just beginning with basic documents, and we have an idea of how we might scale as needed in the future. We also went over a bias training brainstorm. We will be adapting those materials specifically to suit our needs once we get all of the results from the surveys. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So OMC, you are next.
Yeah, that's me. Hey guys. So 2 main things to talk about this week. First, Catherine put together a badass new calendar. The links are all in the actual calendar channel. You can make, it's a Google Calendar, iCal link, or you can add it as a layer to your personal Google Calendar. And we added a tutorial in there too, link in the slide and underneath the actual post in the Slack. The other thing, we've put together a Slack cleanup task force. And basically this is a group of 8 of us that are hyper-focused on these 4 primary goals about trying to get the national org sort of more optimized. So it's dialed down to communication protocols within Slack and between groups, establishing roles and responsibilities for meetings and for go-betweens for groups so that we know who to talk to get certain information or to interact with each other. Building a better org structure that can grow organically as needed. The propensity of channels and subgroups that have been popping up are starting to sort of bury us. So it'd be good to get a handle on that. And then ideally the group that has this high level view, once these changes get implemented, can sort of be the consultation to decide when new things need to be added to the system, where it's appropriate to plug that into. And then the last one is to build a better onboarding process that just puts new users in the right place and feeds them all of this information that we're trying to put together here. So we're only a few days into it, but it's coming along pretty well. There's a Slack channel that anyone can join and check out the work. And then the last thing is this Council of Potentates. So because we're just a task force of 8 people, we don't have all of the input that's needed from across the board. So for one thing, it's a completely transparent process. Anyone can watch what we're doing and give us feedback. But the Council of Potentates is specifically identifying active members from each of the work groups across the board and giving them a slightly more active role in feedback towards our group and oversight. So all of the details on those are linked on that slide there, and you can dive deeper into it. You can also find the members that are listed on that task force document and hit us up in Slack or anywhere you need to. So hopefully it comes out with some good stuff. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So proposal process, you are up next.
All right, proposal process, that's me. So in our working group meeting this week, we reviewed a proposal, our first proposal, put it through the evaluation process that we've currently designed. It left us with some good notes, so we're continuing to refine our evaluation process. And we're currently coordinating with Humanity Forward on a proposal submission timeline. So when they'll be, I guess, ready to start not giving out, but like apportioning resources for projects they deem acceptable. So we will communicate with y'all on that more going forward. If you're interested, we meet Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. So we'd love to have y'all's input, and that's that for proposal process.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So we are on to tech.
Sorry. So we've been continuing on with the software evaluations. In talking with Erica, a CRM system is kind of a higher priority. This system called Galaxy Digital could be a potential option for that. And this week we decided to kind of look at the trying to assess the existing projects that are going on. So just to kind of recap what's going on, there's Distributed Forward. They're basically setting up spoke instances for candidates where candidates can request an instance, and then if approved, the Distributed Forward team will help set that up, and the candidate foots the bill for the Google Cloud hosting and texting. Yang Near Me, it's not an active development, but the team met today to discuss future requirements, and Directory of Documents is another project, and Michael and I will be getting together on Monday to talk about that. So that's kind of where things stand. If you're interested in getting involved with the software evaluations, we're essentially just testing various pieces of software that may be of use going forward. So WG Tech, if you're interested.
Awesome, thank you. And then for presenters, if you can introduce yourselves just so people know who's speaking, since not everybody has their camera on, it can be a little bit confusing. But we are on to candidate support. And Hexel, I see your hand. We'll come to questions at the end.
Thanks.
Is anybody here for candidate support? All right, so candidate support. Andrew Yang has endorsed one candidate thus far. It's Dr. Jermaine Johnson, who's running in South Carolina for state rep. You can go to his website there. They're just set up some, I believe, phone banking and possibly text banking for him. But if you're interested in doing text banking, go to this little URL to get on the Distributed Forward Slack channel. Income Movement has also endorsed some candidates. And then there's some links for that. Sorry, I wasn't prepared to present this slide. But if you have any other candidates that you suggest, or if you would like support and you are personally running, there's a Slack channel. You can pop in there and let us know why we should help that candidate. Cool. Sorry if that was awkward and weird. Interim board time. Was anybody going to report or present this, or do y'all want me to present this?
I can present the update about our meeting policy, if you'll take this.
Sweet. Yeah, so voting results from last week. They're sorted in reverse alphabetical order. Stasha Yim, John Marco Pausang, or GPS, Eileen Patterson, Tom Jeffrey, and Tab Diane, is that correct? I'm sorry if it's wrong. And then Lewis Rick Black III, aka Gray, are all joining the interim board. They will be serving a 3-month term as of last weekend. The rest of the team is going to be continuing for the first election. Our terms will be up on May 17th. So that is Hugh, Yenny, myself, Peter, and Brendan. If you want to go to the next slide, Andrew. Also, election results are going to be posted, by the way, without names, so you can all see. But just kind of a rundown of what we are working on right now, or what we talked about this past week. We'll be releasing a new volunteer code of conduct. We want to make sure that our Slack space and all of our communication is as humanity first as possible. The best way to do this is to make sure we're all on the same page on what our expectations are going to be. So we'll be releasing a new volunteer code of conduct. It's going to be based on what we all signed during the campaign, but there will be a few updates since this is in campaign. This is now volunteering for a nonprofit, or in association with a nonprofit. We'll be posting it on Slack when it is ready, but please feel free to share it far and wide. So post it in your Facebook groups, post it on your Twitter account. Anybody is welcome to see the values that we hold as volunteers. The timeline is currently about 1 week. Temporary channel being made for discussion. I am sure that we would love to hear from diversity and inclusion working on this code of conduct as well as the rest of you. So the 4/5 last Sunday election data will be released on Slack. Names will be redacted, and then candidates, if you're interested in finding out where you fell, feel free to reach out, and we'll provide you with your personal information. We just don't want to share it openly for every single person without permission first. And then we are working on building out some in-house humanity forward volunteer opportunities, which is really exciting. So Erica has requested a few things from us so far. The biggest thing is going to be phone banking. We will be meeting on Monday regarding phone banking, so we're not quite ready for volunteers yet. We have to build out the infrastructure first, but that will be coming in the next couple weeks. We're going to need about 100 volunteers because we are planning on calling everybody who has applied for a micro grant from Humanity Forward. That is a lot of phone calls to make, but it's going to be really exciting, valuable work. Then we will also be looking for Humanity Hang hosts. So it's basically a more structured version of a Yang Gang Hang. It's Andrew's idea himself. He really wants to help us build connections as we're physically far apart, and make sure that we're reaching out to all of our friends that may not have a lot of social connection right now. So that will be coming up very quickly. We're going to be looking for about 10 to 20 volunteer hosts. The idea is there'll be about 2 a week. We'll meet as a big group and then we'll break off into smaller groups. So we'll need somebody to facilitate those smaller meetings as well as the larger meeting. Andrew, if you want to go to the next slide, please. So as we said, we're opening our new in-house volunteer opportunities. That looks like there's 2 of that slide, sorry. So we're going to need to kind of build a really massive working group. It's going to pull from people from onboarding, candidate support, regional organizing, basically everything we would love to have your help with. We want to make sure it's very easy for people to sign on to our Slack channel and find out what volunteer opportunities are at their fingertips. So a lot of work is going to be going into this in the next week. We will post a larger Slack message about it as it's coming. But if you are interested in helping to get people activated and working in your areas, which I know a ton of you are already interested in doing that, we're going to have a lot of great opportunities coming pretty quickly. So keep your eye on Slack for more information on the working group for volunteer opportunities. All right, Brandon, to you.
All right, thanks, Brenna. Yeah, so we had some discussions this week about our meeting policy, and for those of you that have been with us for the last several weeks, hopefully most of you, you've probably been following the discussion on the open meeting policy. That it was a proposal that came out of Organization Management Communications, and we discussed how there have been multiple episodes of Zoom bombing. There's been multiple articles that have come out detailing some of the security risks from using Zoom and getting the links out in the public. You just don't know who can come in and what kind of permissions they're able to hijack. And so there really is a lot of good reasons to not have a completely open meeting policy. So we replace it with this new confidential meeting policy. The idea is that other than this Sunday meeting, our other interim board meetings are going to be private, but you can request to participate if you'd like to observe and comment during our private meetings. It just has to be in advance, and obviously if there's any red flags from a certain person who any people that have the intention to distract or otherwise not be helpful during the meeting won't be let in. And then we also won't be issuing the recordings of these private meetings. Also, another point I forgot to mention here, the slide has all the info, but we signed NDAs this week with Erica so that we can discuss information about their Humanity Forward's upcoming plans. So this is going to help us personally, make sure that, just give us a little extra layer of security if some of us drop some confidential information, especially in the beginning. So we hope this is a good compromise between the transparency advocates and the transparency skeptics. Still, it's just a temporary policy, so we can continue to discuss this and find some alternatives later on that works for everyone. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. So this is kind of just for your consumption. Share it around if you would like. This is going to be the list of all of the standing weekly meetings for our working group. So if you heard anything that piqued your interest tonight, you can find out when that working group meets and join them for their in-person Zoom meetings. They happen once a week for each of the groups. So if you want to go to the next one, Andrew. Thank you. So current volunteer opportunities, as we said, Distributed Forward is looking for texters, callers, and other volunteers. Income Movement is also lobbying Congress to let them know that the COVID crisis requires emergency UBI. You're going to hear from Andrew in just a minute about what YACU, or Young Americans Coalition for Unity, has in store for us. And then Yang Speaks, Andrew's new podcast, is holding that theme song contest, so you're welcome to join that. Next, and then again, these are just 4 opportunities, and those are about to blossom and become a lot more opportunities. So again, we are working on that working group for volunteer opportunities. If you're interested in joining that, please do. And then next to COVID, emergency UBI advocacy, is anybody here to speak about that?
Oh, I can talk about that.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, so basically, as folks know, just from, seeing what's going on around them, there's a lot of people who are not taken care of. And the only entity that has the kind of money necessary to protect people when their income is locked up is Congress, who's able to release trillions of dollars and backstop people. So just we're trying to coordinate and bring in all the partner organizations into this COVID-19 impact and response channel, so we can effectively lobby Congress so people don't get left behind with potential evictions and foreclosures coming up. Yeah, so just join that channel and bring your suggestions and partner organizations, and let's kind of do this work to kind of take care of our communities.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We all know that COVID is at the top of mind for pretty much everybody. It's a really great thing that we can help with. So we're going to start, it's our first night of what we're calling our Coalition Spotlights section. So we know that there's a ton of different organizations that we are working alongside with that have the same values and priorities that we do. So we're going to allow folks to spend a little bit time talking about that coalition organization. So tonight we're going to kick it over to Andrew Wan.
Yes, it's loading. Hi everyone. Wait, let me turn my video on. Hello, my name is Andrew Wan. I am the political director for the Young Americans Coalition for Unity, or the YACU. I was a former national youth director for the Yang campaign. Yang's really near and dear to my heart. Shout out to Distributed team. Yeah, Brenna. Woo. So basically the Young Americans Coalition for Unity was built after Youth for Yang. Although it's not a specifically Yang-based organization, we are still embodying that sort of bipartisanship and unity that came out of the Yang campaign. So I'm just going to take a moment to talk about our mission at the YACU. Our mission is to, first of all, engage youth in politics, and secondly, promote bipartisanship and unity in politics, because these are 2 things that we feel are really, really important in today's day and age. We're currently in really, really close talks with Humanity Forward HQ as well, because one of their main parts is engaging youth in politics. And that's definitely one of our things that we're trying to focus on, and it'd be great to connect with a Yang organization, as all of us are really close to there. And if anyone of you here are interested in joining the YACU, we don't have a set age limit. As long as you consider yourself young at heart, you are definitely most welcome to join. You can go to yacu.org and learn more about it there. And basically, we have lots of different opportunities for members. We have recurring events. We have bi-weekly conventions, or BICONs, which are basically similar to these meetings, except we have them bi-weekly. Icebreaker events. I don't know if anyone of you guys remember the icebreaker system that we used, I think around the winter. We mainly used it near the end of fall and early winter of last year during the campaign, but it was a really great tool for people to talk and connect with each other, and debate nights as well. And if anyone here has specialties in digital organizing policy and research, communications, or IT that wants to join any of our volunteer teams, they're welcome to do so as well. We're playing on a YSU club system that we can help institute in high schools and colleges and just around local areas in general. And involvement with partners, which brings me to the most important part of partnerships. So like I mentioned, we're working on partnering with Humanity Forward, or at least some sort of connection somehow, and we're really, really excited about that. But if any of you out there have an organization that sort of fits into one of these two categories, maybe is partners in youth engagement, any organizations that actively engage youth in politics, including the youth branches of adult organizations, youth-led political organizations, or adult organizations that focus on youth political issues, you're welcome to reach out to me and request to be one of our partners in youth engagement. And on the other side, we have partners in unity and bipartisanship. And if there's any organizations out there that promote unity and bipartisanship through being one of those types of organizations, or nonprofit for a common cause, or organization with a unifying mission, please feel free to reach out to me. You can either find me in the Slack, or you can email me at, you can email us at info@ysu.org. All right, that's my shameless plug for the day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. So I would like to congratulate us all. It is 6:10. We started 10 minutes late because of my technical difficulties, and we are now to open questions and comments. So fantastic job to all of our presenters. Thank you so much. We will go ahead and set this time to wrap up at 6:30. So that gives 20 minutes. I don't know if we're gonna need all that time, but if we do, we'll absolutely take that. Or sorry, 6:30 or 9:30 or whatever time zone you're in. Hexel, it looks like your hand is up. Question, can somebody facilitate this question section, just because I have a little bit of a challenging time on my phone?
I can do it.
Thank you so much. All right, Hexel, go ahead and take it.
All right, I'll try to keep this as brief as possible because I know there's a lot of people. First, my question, then the context. And this question is going to be, hopefully this question doesn't come as like too big of a jaw dropper type of question. Is there a provision, does the board or anyone have a provision where a state, for example, Humanity Forward Texas, can be considered instead of a chapter, be a coalition partner, where they're not part of the HQ entity, but similar to YASU, where they're a separate entity, but in league in spirit. And I know that sounds really weird. Here's the context for that. So when we first started, it was my intention from the beginning that Humanity Forward Texas, like when I bought the domain, set up the website and email, that it would be a chapter of HQ, right? And so I went back to my Yang Gang, across the state, North Texas, Austin, Houston. And what I did not expect was 3 roadblocks. And being a steward of, I don't want to unilaterally, impose my will. So being a good steward of what the leaders in Texas want to do, which, that's what they're really wanting for 3 reasons. First, the legal reason. When we went to other clubs, for example, North Texas Asian Democrats, who've been a longtime friend of the North Texas Yang Gang, and we described to them what Humanity Forward wanted to do based on the website, they were shocked because it was very clearly a political organization, in that we were doing endorsements and we were supporting candidates. But at least in Texas, under Texas Ethics Commission rules, that's overtly political activity that you can't do as a 501c4. So that was the first hurdle that we ran into. The second hurdle that we ran into is, while it's not representative of everyone, it's a good chunk, like maybe half, and that half includes people that I need, or at least we need, staying involved, are people who were disenchanted with HQ during the campaign. 45 seconds, sorry. All right, and then the third roadblock was the culture of, like, as you can see, there's a lot of endorsements and there's a lot of Republicans. And so there's concerns from a legal as well as a cultural standpoint that Humanity Forward Texas might not work well as a subsidiary of HFHQ. And so is there a provision on the table, or is there considerations for states being separate but partnered as opposed to under the umbrella? All right, that's my question.
So I can answer the question. I'm not sure how to say your name. Is it Hexel? Yeah, okay. So could you please join our group, because you're exactly the person that we're looking for, is people who are starting to form chapters already and what kind of challenges that you're having. And then, yeah, we can bring that then to, Erica and Humanity Forward and find out how we can, exactly what we need to do so that Yang Gang can set up those chapters. So no, we don't have an answer to that right now. And so we need to hear from you directly. So can you join us on Thursdays?
Yeah, absolutely. Send me an email. My email is hexel@humanityforwardtexas.org. We jumped really quick on getting those domains. But yeah, I have a lot of information in terms of what our Yang Gang's concerns are from a cultural as well as a legal perspective. Because, cultural, legal, and priorities perspective. I think we have a very Lone Star mentality around it, but I don't want to lose the connection we have with the national movement. That's one of my biggest concerns.
Okay, so it's hexel@humanityforwardtexas.com.
.org.
.org. Okay.
And then also to add on to that, Hexel, we are talking with Erica about like what our chapter system is going to look like. It has not been rolled out completely yet, so we are happy to speak on your behalf when we're talking about that too. Great.
I'll put together to make it even smoother. I'll put down like a white paper of what my thoughts are, so that you don't need to verbally talk to me. My phone is open, but I'll put it in a white paper so it's clear.
James, you're up.
Awesome. Wanted to make a quick note. I was on a Yang Gang hang yesterday. That was just supposed to be hanging out, and then it turned into us making projects to do stuff. So just reaching out. We are actually, it's just a random group of Yang Gang that we are building out a campaign just to advocate Congress for an emergency stimulus, a monthly stimulus of $2,000 a month that would eventually turn into a permanent UBI. So in the coming week, we are going to be putting out a few things just to get this, a campaign rolling. The first thing that's going to be, it's not going to be put out till tomorrow, but it's already made. So I just put in the chat, is we're actually starting a petition to get this stimulus, $2,000 stimulus passed. We are working with James Treacle is helping us to make a 60-second ad video that will have a lot of people. Andrew Yang, hopefully, he's also mentioned he could be in it too, to get that campaign going. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Please, if you can, take a look at the petition, sign it, share it, and then just keep an eye out for more things over the next week. That we just want to urge Congress to pass a UBI, emergency UBI, and then do more work to make sure it's, some sort of UBI stays permanent past that. So just want to throw it out there.
James, it would be fantastic if you could join the COVID response, impact and response channel on Slack, and share the details there. We've got a lot of different groups that are working in the same sector. One of the larger ones is Income Movement. We've also got a thing that's going on with 5calls.org. So there's a couple of different things that are going on in that channel. I'd love to add yours to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I will jump in there. Thank you for that recommendation. I've been running around trying to do too many things at once, but yes, I'll definitely get in there. And then any help from you guys is appreciated. And again, thank you guys for everything you do with holding this call.
I think I'm next up. 2 questions. One is, where do we stand with picking a name? And the second question is, can we elaborate a little bit more about chapters and what we know about them? And I'll just take my questions on you, and whoever can answer them, jump in.
So as far as the name goes, we met this past week We are getting together to sometime this week to hopefully pick a name in a meeting, but if not, it'll be going to a second meeting that also hopefully would be this week. We have a tentative of getting a name out by next Sunday's meeting, but that obviously depends on people's availability and how quickly the discussions can go.
Is that meeting going to be announced in TMP Pick Our Name?
Yes,
Yeah,
as
and
was this past week's. We have a spreadsheet up. If you look at the pinned posts, I've got a whole thing about what we did at the meeting and what the next steps are.
Yeah, and I guess I'll talk to everyone about the chapter setup. I was actually taking the lead for the interim board on trying to set up some meetings with Erica, with representatives from chapters that have already done some work on getting self-organized and all that. Unfortunately, her schedule just filled up throughout the end of the week. They have a lot going on over there, and she said that we'll reschedule for this upcoming week. So we will get those details. Currently, we don't have any details about chapters, requirements, what the relationship is. What we do know is that they want they want to let us be able to set up our own chapters and for us to have as much autonomy as possible.
Hey, Yenny, do you think it's possible that you could just touch on briefly what you guys decided, or like how that it's going to work, that people could still jump in, right? It's my understanding, like if they wanted to go to that meeting, they can bring like up to 5 name choices with them or something like that.
Yes, I can. So we had a couple of different debates that happened over the course of the almost 2-hour meeting, I think, where we discussed what the voting process had been so far, all of the names that had come out of it. We really agreed that a lot of it was sounding very robotic in terms of like the list that came out of it. So we needed a little bit more of like a human interactive touch to it. So by taking the vote from the keywords and the list of names that were proposed and the different things that were culled, we're looking at each of us picking 5 names that we want to defend at the next meeting. So we're going to be getting together. We've got a when to meet up in the channel. So far, only 2 people have replied on it, one of them being me. So if people could go on there, fill out the when to meet. We're hopefully going to meet sometime twice this week, possibly, but as early this week as possible to give us the room for that, having a second meeting. And the criteria that we used for the initial name selection polls and such, we're being flexible with it, because there are some things that we can be a little bit more flexible on, like domain name, different things that like there were a number of things that got culled because they were organizations that really don't do anything and are in other countries kind of things, instead of it just being like specifically like in the US, the stuff that we would be able to compete on from an SEO standpoint.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we discussed.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yanni. And then Colton's next.
And I'm unmuted. Hey guys, I don't need a direct response to this. If board members could just jot it down as a point of discussion. I'm curious about meetings that occur sort of during the workday, and if that's necessarily a good idea for kind of the obvious reasons of potential participants or good participants that would be at work during those hours.
Cool. So I'll speak on this really quickly. Within the working groups, all working groups are tasked with deciding what their own time is for meeting. So that has so far been done through when to meet, like fill out a survey when you're available. And the time that is most common across all boards is what is chosen, just because I completely understand it. I'm on the West Coast, so my meetings, like 8 p.m. meeting Eastern time is 5 p.m. So there's like a whole situation there. But those when to meets can be updated and meeting times can be adjusted as needed, but we don't set those times. They're set within their own working groups.
Thanks, Brenna.
Faye?
Hi. Okay, I have maybe too many questions, 45 seconds, I'm going to go through real fast. First, thank you so much for implementing that calendar. I already put it as an extra thing. Thank you, Gray, for helping me out. So I don't understand, okay, with the Zoom meetings, now these slides and this recording or whatever is going to be somewhere. And I would like to know, where do we find it later in case we want to refer back to it or somebody else. Okay, next. And where are the links? Okay, so the links on the calendar are not good anymore, or they're still good? That's another question I had. Okay, and then I have two more questions, which is when you're on, I'm gonna try to invite somebody from the interim board, maybe Gray or somebody else, whoever's the most appropriate person, to help us onboard more people. I don't know how to invite people to the group. I don't know if you want us to do that. Should we like, you know, I'll hit the link, like to invite persons, I have to get their email address. So if there's a link that I can give people to you know, invite themselves and then let somebody else just, they don't have to get their email address. I don't know, I wanted to find out about that. And who would be the right person to come and who would be willing to come and speak to the rest of Yang Gang on the YGRL is the Gang Report on Facebook. Okay, so, and then finally the relationship to the, okay, I don't understand how our organization relates to Humanity Forward and the old campaign and the staff. I mean, are there staff members that are here and there? How do we actually communicate with Yang, or do we have anything to do with him at this point? We also have Reddit, Facebook, we have Discord, all these different groups. Are all of us under sort of, I don't understand how the organization works. So, all right, I'm done. Thank you.
Hey, Faye, I can at least take some of those, give a little bit of context as to our onboarding efforts. So currently we don't necessarily have a lot of onboarding protocols. We're currently working on fleshing those out, but we're hoping to have at least something by, let's say, the end of next week with regards to just at least a centralized place for people to get information on how to use Slack and what our organization is about. There also have been some preliminary talks around how we want to, our objective is to grow the Yang Gang, and if that means forwarding people to Reddit or Facebook or whatever medium of communication and platform that they're comfortable with, that's like a part of our goal too. So we're currently working on how we can facilitate that as well. So not only getting people to join our volunteer Slack and our organization, but also engage with Humanity Forward and Humanity Forward organizations through Facebook, Reddit, Twitter, etc. So unfortunately, it's not as direct of an answer as you probably wanted, but these things are being talked about and they are currently being organized. If you'd like to contribute, if you have thoughts on onboarding, the OMC onboarding subgroup, I believe, meets on Wednesday, but someone correct me if I'm wrong and maybe give the time for that too. So if someone else wants to speak about the other stuff that they asked about.
The calendar and the O_calendar inside the Slack, you can get all of the meeting times and links for every subgroup. So that'd be a good place to go to see if anything you're interested in. In terms of structure, I know our structure, we have our own working group about structure and how we communicate. That's still something that's definitely we're fleshing out and working on. We definitely do communicate with the Humanity Forward HQ, but keep in mind that's only a 5-person organization and we have way more than 5 people. So they're sort of they've had the money left over from the campaign and we're the grassroots organization. Now there are other people who know a little bit more about that, but I thought I'd just throw in just a quick, paraphrasing to get that perspective.
Yeah, and maybe I can be the next one to speak here. But it does look like they are hiring quite a bit. So it's not exactly 5 people, but at the same time, we can't expect them to hire hundreds of people in the next few weeks. So really we are the army of the Yang Gang of Humanity Forward, and they see us as real authorities on their plans and what they want to do going forward. We've been called by Erica McLeod and an advisory board. The interim board she really sees it as giving good information from the grassroots up to HQ. So there is a direct connection. We are working on getting a meeting between the interim board and Andrew Yang himself. Obviously, he's had a lot to do lately, but Erica is actively trying to schedule that. And then I just wanted to point out that Catherine posted the link in the chat to our directory of documents. And so that on that site, you'll be able to see all the recordings, all the meeting times, all the agendas for all the working groups. So definitely check that out, Faye. And she also posted a invitation link to the Yang 2020 Slack. I will just say, we discussed how we weren't going to do like a huge outreach campaign until we settled on a name to call ourselves. It's kind of complicated to advertise a group that doesn't have a name. But you are allowed to bring any Yang Gang in here that you want. They're part of our movement, so use that link liberally as much as you like and bring in as many other volunteers as you can find.
Awesome. Did we get all of your questions, Faye? Or are there any more that we missed?
Burke is next.
She had one question about, is there only way to onboard people? Do we have to have their email, or is there a link we can give?
Oh, yes. Catherine,
I think I just
in there.
I think I've heard that answer, which is that yes, there is one. I'm not sure where to, and also where do I find the Zoom meeting afterwards? You said you guys are posting this publicly.
Okay, so with the link, if you go to yang2020.com/join-volunteer-slack, that is the current updated one, so you can send people there to get to join. Catherine put that in the chat. And then for the Zoom links to the meetings, this one we had to update right before our meeting just because we've been Zoom bombed a few times, but that's now updated in the calendar, so it should work going forward. But sorry, that was just a one-off tonight.
I think she also might be asking about our Google Drive folders, like where we keep all of the back, and also like the directory of documents, you know, where all of those back recordings can be found.
Yes,
yeah.
Directory of documents. Catherine just posted that in the chat, or in the chat as well. So that's the link for the directory of documents.
Yeah, that's where all the recordings will be posted. Okay.
It's basically an internal website.
Beautiful.
Like it doesn't have a domain itself, but.
So is that something you want us to share or you want us to not share that yet? Or
that's shareable. Yep.
Awesome. Burke, take us home.
Alrighty, no problem. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm in a place with not the best reception.
We got you.
Okay, cool. Well, mine's not actually a question. Mine would be more of a statement, just to remind people that, once again, my name is Burke Anderson. I am running for Nevada State Assembly, District 15, which is kind of on the east side of the Las Vegas Valley. Just real quickly, just a tiny bit about myself. I've done a few things with politics. I'm one of the main people that helped get question 2 on the 2016 ballot, which was to help legalize marijuana. I actually gathered over 10,000 signatures myself, which was really help. Without that, they might not have gotten it. I also worked on the mandatory background checks for gun sales to help to bring that into existence, which they finally have. A little bit more to local gang and all that. I actually was the official videographer for Las Vegas for Andrew Yang whenever he came. I'm also one of the co-hosts of Yang Gang Report Live. I'm not sure how many people here watch that. I was also the creator of Rideshare for Yang, which is where I went out as a rideshare driver and spoke to probably about 150 different people about UBI and about Andrew Yang. Now I'm basically running on a couple different things here in Nevada. One of the main ones now, it was UBI, but now with all the coronavirus, one of the main things I believe people should be focusing on is cleaning up and decontaminating and making it so Nevada and other places can get back to work. I'm actually working with a company that puts out a thing called Decon 7, which some of you might have seen in some of the newsreels and somewhere in China and some of the East and places like that, where they were spraying this large fog. It actually does help with detergents to actually kill the coronavirus. I'm also, which most people know, I'm working for UBI for Nevada. I also want to help expand education. And as far as that, I'm thinking more as far as vocational schools. The things are changing where it's not necessarily you have to go to college. We need engineers, we need carpenters, we need plumbers. I mean, compared to like Germany, we're way, way behind. Now, another quick thing that I like to just point out is I'm running in a race that's actually really possible for me to actually win, okay? There's only about 30,000 or 60,000 residents in my district. About 30,000 of them are registered to vote. Close to 50% of them are registered as Democrats. The other 18 are like Republican and independents and so forth. In the last election, the incumbent won and got onto the ballot with 1,200 votes, okay? Which means his name recognition is really low. During the general, he got on with about 3,000 plus. So I actually have a real chance here of winning. And I would just really like, you know, the Yang Gang and Humanity Forward's help to help get this out there, because my primary is on June 9th, which means I have close to 2 months. And, you know, we're all math people, we're all numbers people. The numbers are there. I actually have a real shot of winning. I mean, some of the other candidates, I mean, let's face it, I mean, I'd love for them to win, but they're going against some really, really strong odds and some really dug-in incumbents. I am not. So I really have a chance with this. And I would just like everybody to, you know, to help me out if you can. And if in some ways, I'd love your support. My website is real simple. It's burke4nevada.com. That's basically it. And thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Burke. Definitely recommend joining candidate support channel to get connected with Dan and Drew with Distributed Forward. I'm sure that they would love to help you in any way that they can, if possible. And Travis is on the call, I think, right now too. But
if anybody here on the call, the main thing I would love to be able to get, if anybody can possibly help me with this, is Andrew Yang does know me personally. And I even mentioned it to him last time he was in Nevada that I was considering running. And he said to reach out to him if I actually did. Well, now I actually am, but I don't know of any direct way to get in contact with him, just so I can have like a 3-minute conversation, talk to him. And if I could get his endorsement, I think that would go a long, long way. And like I said, I really have a chance of winning this. And if anybody out there can help me get in touch with Andrew, like I said, I was his videographer. He knows who I am. He remembers me the times he's seen me. So
yeah,
that's what I really, really need help with getting.
We're actually talking with Erica about the endorsement process. That is in the works, but we will definitely make sure to keep you informed when we have something that we can pass you on through.
Yes.
Should
And also
we
just
try
a
to
random
get Bert?
I don't know if it's like you've ever tried it, but Andrew's Twitter DMs have been opened recently. If you want to shoot him a Twitter DM.
Well, he follows me on Twitter. I'm one of the 6,000 people that he's followed. He's been following me since the beginning of his campaign. Well, not the beginning, but since about November or so, or October, he's been following me on Twitter. And I have DM'd him a few times, but from what I can tell, they've never even read them. You know how you can see the little symbol when something's been read? It's never even been read. And that's probably about 6 or 7 messages so far, spanning back several months.
So one other
should
thing
we be getting Burke in that candidate, in that working group with the candidate, you know, I don't know, tell them.
Yeah, in the candidate support group. Thank you for adding him, Catherine. Also, Catherine posted, if you email info@humanityforward.com, we have a great email team that go through all those emails, and they can forward those ones on. There is a team that is currently doing endorsement, like verification for the campaign. info@movehumanityforward.com. My apologies. I am bad at reading things. But if you send them an email as well, it'll be likely to be passed under the people's eyes that'll be deciding who they're endorsing. But thank you all so much. We'll wrap up this call. I really appreciate y'all hopping on a Sunday night. Thank you for keeping this call really tight. We really have been doing it for an hour since we started about 10 minutes late. But I appreciate you all. Thank you for bearing with me with my technical issues at the beginning. But have a fabulous Sunday evening.
Burke,
Brenna, you killed it. Thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you.
I just like to say one thing to Burke. I'm dropping my email in the chat. I'm an admin for like Humanity First party page. We have like 2,000 people on it. We can go do push your name on our page. So just send me an email.
Thank you. And if
Thanks,
you're,
everyone.
if you know of any white groups, feel free to join them. I have like 20 of them. A lot of Humanity Forward ones too. But I'm the creator.
Know of any what?
I'm the creator of about 15 or 20 different groups for Andrew Yang and Humanity Forward.
Okay.
So if you want to help me out with that or become an admin or a moderator on some of my things, I would love it.
Yeah,
and
sure.
also for universal basic income. Like I have universal basic income from America for quite a few of the different states, pages and groups.
Cool. Sure. Yeah, email me. Okay.
We'll be in touch. See ya.
Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Great meeting, everyone.